Hello, fabulous Leo. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of October 2015, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This month has a very important development for you, truly. And I'm going to talk more about that in the love-focused horoscope. Let's just say her name is Venus. And let's just say that you've got this really long-term lesson that you've been going through much of the year, throughout the summer, is now coming to a close. And actually something within you will feel the energy shift, will feel yourself moving forward in the best possible sense. And all the work that you've been doing on yourself, to believe in yourself, to feel good about yourself, well, now it'll start to show more and more in your life as you move forward from here. Particularly, it's going to start with your finances. So you've been doing this work, this inner work. Do you love yourself? Do you love it? Is it worth working for? Is it worth holding on to? These have been some of the key questions when we look at it, not necessarily from a romantic perspective, but from a general horoscope perspective. That's been part of the big learning where it comes to having Venus go into shadow and then retrograde, and now leave shadow, preparing to leave shadow this month. So in the middle of the month, yes, the cycle is over and you step into a new one that has to do with, as I said, finances on one level. And so it's going to be about, okay, now you love yourself, now prove it. Ask the universe for more. Put a greater value on what it is that you give so that more can be returned. And also to find joy in understanding self-worth. Find joy in lessons of abundance and prosperity. And find your joy, and also in some cases, because I think that a lot of Leos, and I actually think this is something with all the fixed signs out there, they tend to be not wanting to sell out. Like that tends to be one of those underlying things. Like I'm not a sellout and I don't want to be a sellout. Well, that is something that ultimately you are going to have to look at as well coming up. But thankfully, that won't be the case, okay? Just because you are putting yourself in a position where you're saying, you know what? Yeah, I think that who I am and what I bring has greater value. And I want that to be expressed. I want that to be returned to me because I'm giving what I think has greater value. So increasing your perception of the value of what you give to the world, right? The energy that you're putting out. Is it based in self-worth? Is it based in self-love? And how is it also that you feel about money? How is it that you feel about prosperity? All of this is going to get a burst of healing and also a burst of forward movement as well. And it's not just because of Venus, but we've also got a series of conversations beginning now this month. And actually, this will be part of a dance that continues right into the first half of next year. Of course, I'll be here to talk about it then. And it has to do with Jupiter and Pluto speaking to each other in supreme harmony. This is going to be so good for you for your money. This is going to be so good for you financially. And some of the love that you are going to learn to bring now to the money-making process will also be affirmed by a larger process as well that is going to encourage you to really be open to greater prosperity and to be willing to work for what it is that you desire, whatever that might be, whether it's a material thing or an emotional sense of worthiness, of knowing that you are worthy. All of that is on offer this month. But I do gotta say, before we get to the really good stuff, we do have this moment, sort of like in the early part of the month. There are a few days there that look downright confusing, to be honest with you. So they look like misinformation, maybe even feeling like someone, or maybe not even realizing it in the moment. But the misinformation might not be intentional, but it might be as well. Particularly where it comes to money, and particularly where it comes to making money as well, or money that is owed to you, money that can flow to you, money that can come from things like benefits and grants and loans and bursaries. So we've got this really interesting confusion in the first few days that then give way to a real desire on your part to take ownership for your financial reality and making some important decisions that really change things very much for the better in practical ways in your life. So be mindful. I wouldn't do any kind of financial dealings or applying or advice seeking in the first few days of the month, certainly. But as we move towards the middle of the month, that is when the energy starts to get better and better and more positive. And that is when clear answers start to show up for you, and even clearer answers after that. In the middle of the month, we've also got a new moon taking place. Now, this new moon is happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with right place at the right time, running into the right person. It has to do with your neighborhood and your neighbors. And on another hand, it also has to do with your siblings and your cousins. Now, what's interesting to me about this particular new moon is that it is standing across the sky from Uranus. And what this means is that right place at the right time element is that much more magnified. But also magnified with this particular new moon is finding something out, getting information out of nowhere, and the lights come on. Like maybe the person you run into, the right place at the right time, it's like all of a sudden you see them in a whole other perspective. The proverbial getting it, right? You get it happens for you. So this is likely to take place sort of in the immediacy or in your immediacy as well. This can also be finding out some truth about one of your siblings, possibly a cousin or a neighbor, that might even leave you a little speechless, let's say. So surprise, some surprising information seemingly out of nowhere that just changes your whole perspective of this person and what's going on in their life. Now, this can actually help you get that much more compassionate, but I think that the surprise really, because it's Uranus, it can really go either way. I mean, it could be a surprise that delights, or it can be a surprise that makes you go, oh, okay, that's what's going on. Oh, okay, that's who you are. And I think a lot of people are going to be saying that in different ways and in different areas of life. For you in particular, that feeling of, oh, that's what's really going on is likely to manifest more with neighbors, cousins, and siblings. As we approach the end of the month, we have a full moon happening, and this full moon is taking place in a part of the sky for you that has to do with your career. It has to do with accomplishment and achievement and understanding your purpose, understanding your direction, the legacy that you are creating. So there's a sense of fulfillment, there's a sense of appreciation, there's a sense of love, being loved and experiencing love around you at that time. And what I mean by that is that there's an affirmative energy happening for you at that time. An energy that's saying that your life matters to a lot of people and that what you do is good, and the legacy that you're leaving and the change that you've affected in other people's life is good and is beautiful in its own unique way. But this can also be just, you know, getting that pat on the back from a boss. This also can be you hearing about the possibility of advancement. Now, there's lots of hopeful energy around this particular full moon. If you want to be really generous, you could say that this full moon is speaking with Pluto and Jupiter, but that's, why not? Why not be generous and say that as well? But that's also a possibility. I actually look at this and I think that there's an aspirational, hopeful, gratitude, compassionate kind of energy around this particular full moon, but also a very practical element as well. So it's almost as if this can be like an act of kindness that you do almost like unconsciously, or you're like, you know what, yeah, this is who I want to be. And so you behave from that way, ends up getting you some sort of approval or accolades or attention. What I love about this month for you is that things are changing. Things are changing for the very better. And things are changing for the very prosperous as well. Things are changing in a direction of achievement and accomplishment, and they're changing in a direction that gets you to appreciate that you are worth a whole lot.